What's up, jobbers, and welcome to the latest edition of the Jobber Knocker podcast. As always, is Nestlemania alongside for the ride is a man what's your name again? JC Dipshit?
Adam.
Couldn't help.
I wanted to come on and I wanted to sing the "He Is Phenomenal" song, but I already forgot the words.
It's I am, right?
Yeah, that was my plan, but I completely forgot to do it. So if you pretend in your minds, listeners and viewers, that we restarted the podcast and that my beautiful vocals came like the French crowd serenading AJ Styles, the phenomenal one.
Listen, we got a lot to talk about. We had Backlash, we got Raw SmackDown, we have some NXT, there's some AEW that's happening right now, although we may not talk about
you.
All right, that's how you feel about that.
Just kidding. I love AEW, but the biggest mistake this week was no Tony Khan, except for his little remote announcement.
Yeah.
He should have called it that. He should be calling them remote announcements.
Zooms. Anyway, so we have a lot to talk about. I guess we should start probably at the very top, top, which is Backlash. Is the name of the program here, folks. And there's a lot to talk about. Only 5 matches, JC. How do you feel about only 5 matches?
When they give you 5 matches like that, I don't think people are complaining because this is something we've kind of seen in the Triple H era, just like putting more of an onus of giving time to actual matches. It's not like some of the Vince shows where half the pay-per-view matches were like 5 minutes or less. Like everyone's getting time, even if it gets a little clunky, they're still getting time. I kind of like it. That's what like big fight feels are, and I'm sure we'll have some short ones mixed in the future. But for this one, it was just like that crowd, man. That crowd was the lead this week. They were so good with everything. That was such an incredible environment. That's what's so cool about. We saw it in Puerto Rico last year. We saw it in Perth. We've seen it at Clash of the Castle last year, and we'll probably see it again. I think that's next month and stuff. So it's like shout out France. They did a great job. This was a great show. I enjoyed all the matches. I thought they were good, and I thought even though the card was extremely predictable, like we said, if it's good, who cares?
Right. So let's get into the crux of this. We'll start off the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa. I like saying it that way, Sikoa. And Tama Tonga with Paul Heyman defeating Kevin Owens and Randy Orton by pinfall in what started out as a regular match, then turned into a street fight, 19 minutes, 25 seconds, with, of course, the surprise at the end. Not the surprise everybody was thinking about, though.
I kind of like that. I like the little spin there.
Well, I mean, Tama Tonga is a big deal. The thing is I like the way they book him and the way they're putting him over him in commentary the entire time, because Randy Orton is Randy Orton, right? Like the crowd singing Randy Orton's song. Randy Orton's just loved. KO speaking the French in the RKO show the night before. There's so much going on there. They love him. They love him. They love him. Solo's in this weird place right now where we're trying to figure out, is he the big guy? Is he the big deal or not? And then, Tama Tonga is booked on commentary and in the matchup, and just they try really hard to be like, this guy's a lunatic. This guy's a lunatic because, everybody's wild Samoans and all that shit. But I thought this was a great match. I thought it was a fun way to get the crowd going. It's a hot start. It gets everybody into it. And I mean, just watching the inverted, suplex into the chairs at the end. And then, just all of it was just like, Jesus Christ, and Tangaloa, with the surprise there, which if JC's a big fan of
Camacho, baby. The only thing missing from it was when he came from the crowd, he should have been on a bike with Hunico on his back. Because, guys, that's Camacho. I didn't realize that at first either until someone told me, but that's freaking Camacho from NXT. He fought on pay-per-view against Adam Rose, I think was the last time we saw him at one of the NXT live, like called Premium Live against events now. But, they look it. I love that it was a different Samoan than the one we've been waiting for the second time in a row. And these are brothers. They're a tag team. And there's another Samoan brother tag team in WWE that currently isn't together right now. But I'd say we have a lot of possibilities. I believe they called themselves GOD in Japan with periods in there. That's why I spelled it out with letters instead of saying God. I think it's exciting. So I'm curious to see where this goes because the bloodline's getting bigger and bigger without Roman.
It's amazing to me because I'm looking at the Bullet Club in my mind, and it's like more Bullet Club members are almost in WWE now than anywhere else. It's bizarre to me, but it is what it is. The Gorillas of Destiny. You are correct, Joe. That's their full name, Gorillas of Destiny.
GOD.
But they have cool war paint. They have a cool, feeling about it. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's definitely interesting here. I do want to stop here for just a second, because we're not going to be able to talk about it because Raw. I feel like SmackDown's kind of we'll piss through SmackDown because it's kind of after the fact. But I think this is a perfect place to put this here. Solo Sikoa is supposedly the tribal chief or supposedly the head of this new bloodline 2.0, if you want to call it that or whatever. They, if you believe all the hype of Jacob Fatu, which honestly he is as advertised. If you watch MLW, just a freak of nature and an amazing human being. But I think JC, you're gonna love the promo. You're gonna love the promo from this guy. So there are words around, can Jacob Fatu be in the background, and is that going to take away from Sokoa or Solo? Excuse me. Like, can Jacob Fatu and Solo work together? Is he going to outshine Solo? I'm curious your thoughts, because for me, I think that's a real statement, because it's definitely hard. Because once Jacob Fatu is going to be on your TV screens, everybody is going to want this guy to be the fucking guy.
I've never seen him, so I honestly have no idea. But I'll say this: I mean, Solo's great at being Solo Sikoa, but like as being like Roman Reigns, like he's not. There's nothing about Solo that's ever presented as a leader. So it's like, maybe if people feel that's true, maybe it is. Because I think it's definitely, if this is someone with personality that can command a room, then I'd say, yeah, he's definitely going to outshine Solo Sikoa. It's not very hard.
No, I tend to agree, and Danny said it too. He's a good heavy, but not a leader in his opinion.
Yeah,
And
he's a perfect heavy. He could perfectly be a solo act, but he's never going to be like, he's not a guy where I look at and be like, yeah, that's the guy I want commanding a faction. It's like, no, that's not his personality. That's not his character even. So
I'm not saying I'm not going to put the curse on him, but I just think that,
oh boy,
everybody in this new version is going to benefit, obviously, because they're going to rub up against the Usos. They're going to rub up against Roman Reigns, obviously. And if that happens, everybody in the universe is going to be fucking, magical. But I think that Jacob Fatu is going to end up reminding me, it's like if Umaga could fly more. Like that, like, to me, is like, and it's like, I loved Umaga. Like, I thought that was such a ridiculous gimmick. It had to do with Alejandro Estrada as well with that. I love that shit. But that's beside the point. Umaga was fucking nuts, and I loved it. And it's that plus the fact that this dude can talk. And it's just like, and he can do flying things. It's just like, Solo's not going to be able to talk the way that this guy talks. I feel like even Tama Tonga can talk if they give him the right way to go about it. So I feel like Solo, to me, I'm worried very much for Solo that Solo is going to end up kind of forgotten in this entire thing. And I feel like they're trying to not do that to him. And they're trying to build him up as this guy. But I don't know how this is going to shake out.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because that's like the one thing that feels a little off. And that's why I just assume like this is Solo taking direct orders from The Rock to set up that whole thing down the line with Roman as the bloodline squares off with like the two sides, of the families. So that's always been my assumption. That's still my assumption. I also think like, here's the thing. Because a lot of these dirt sheets, man, a lot of them are wrong. But also like in reporting, sometimes they're fed false information on purpose. So this almost has my conspiracy, my little detective hat, Nestlemania going on here.
There you go.
Being like, what if they're doing this so you don't see the swerve coming, that he's actually going to be on the other side of the bloodline?
See, I would love that. I would love that. And I hear
saying,
I think I love that, because here's the thing, as much as we joke about Jimmy Uso has a lot of charisma. It might be goofy charisma, but he's got charisma. Jey Uso has an aura about him. If you could talk about Friday or Saturday night in France, I mean, Jesus Christ, you want to talk about a superstar entrance? Holy shit!
The entrance is main event. The wrestler is mid-card.
Yes, exactly. He's above mid-card Jey Uso. That's basically what he is. But then there's an aura there, and then Roman Reigns. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, you could go days about talking about this person, and then if you put Jacob Fatu, it's almost like, if you put all of them together against the other guys, it's like you're going to kill them, like just based on eviscerating.
Not if The Rock's on the other side.
Maybe.
There's an equalizer for you right there, Nestlemania. The biggest movie star in the world, The Rock, the final boss, the only man who's beaten Cody recently. Come on.
It's hard to imagine this entire thing shake out. But I want to really quickly get into what Danny said here. Can the bloodline ever be as good without Roman?
Of course not. But Roman's not out of the bloodline. He's just on his island like he normally does. And I'm curious to see how they kind of set up the next stages for the bloodline, because that was always the thing, is when the Roman Empire fell. Men, we think about the Roman Empire all the time. So when it falls, we're definitely thinking about how we can get it back. So I just threw myself off track because that was so good. And now I'm thinking about the Roman Empire. God, psychologists are right, Nestlemania. Men always do think about the goddamn Roman Empire.
It's true.
You know who has the same initials as me? Julius Caesar.
No. I was thinking.
Nestle.
Okay.
I don't even know what I was talking about.
This is what happens when you have allergies and you're filled with drugs.
Yes, I am filled with many allergy medications, and
Jordan had his flu game, and JC has his allergy.
Yeah. Here's the thing: Jordan didn't have to fucking talk and sit on camera for his flu game. He got to play ball. Hey, some of my best hockey games I had when I was sick, so I can relate to that. But this is a different thing. I'm struggling over here, but we're gonna get through it, Nestlemania.
We're going to get through
it. We were talking about the bloodline without Roman, correct?
Right, exactly. Yeah. So the other thing I want to talk about here, so I'll let you get your sniffles back for a second. The one thing I'm curious about too is you can't, the Roman Empire is a big deal, but even bigger deal, which I thought was a great nugget, was on Friday night when, Heyman let it slip that he hasn't talked to Roman since WrestleMania. He pulled him out of the draft, not Roman pulling him out of the draft. I thought that was wonderful. And then, of course, on Saturday as well, the backstage segment with Jay, it's like, please help me. I'm fucking stuck. Like, I need somebody to help me. And Jay's just like, all right, bye. It's going to end eventually. Like, that moment of Roman as well as Jay and Jimmy coming back together is going to be a big moment. I would not be shocked if they let Jacob Fatu be with the Bloodline 2.0 and then Sami Zayn somehow gets put back in.
No, I don't even think you need him, because I think The Rock and these three guys is 4. Roman, the Usos, and Jacob, that's 4. There's your War Games match in WrestleMania that you want.
I know it's coming. I was gonna.
The Rock's not gonna do War Games,
No. This is never gonna fucking happen in a million years. But I'll blow my hope here because I feel like I'll come up with another one anyway. But I was thinking about this as we were talking. It's like the numbers game, right? Of like how many fucking Samoans can you fucking have in the fucking WWE? And I was like, imagine if they had an entire tournament of just Samoans and the winner was the tribal chief. Like, that would be fucking awesome. Like, think about that. You have the old timers like Afa and Sika and like The Rock's mom and like everybody that's old. They're like Rikishi and Haku just sitting in a fucking like this whole like palace looking like maybe box or something. Watching.
It sounds like Coliseum fighting. So it sounds like they're going back to what I was talking about earlier.
But it's so funny to me because like it's just like the fact that would happen and like having 8 Samoans vie for the real tribal chief thing. Like, is it Solo? Is it The Rock? Is it Jay?
Camacho.
Camacho. What is it Roman? But clearly not Jimmy, but he's in there. But I mean, like, and then Jimmy's just hot route.
Dom would say, no yeet.
No yeet. But I think that'd be fascinating to watch because I just love the idea of the Samoan culture and the how they're so ingrained in wrestling is just fascinating to me. And they're just like, I feel like this is the most I've ever seen Manu. Stop it, Joe. Manu. Give me a fucking break. He's actually no Manu. Do you remember Manu, the other guy in Legacy for a hot second?
Oh yeah.
You forgot about that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Manu was like not fully formed Jacob Fatu, essentially. That's what he looked like. It was just, yeah, you forget about him. You only think, I come from money. That's all you think about when you think Legacy.
That son was fucking fantastic. It was so good. And remember his storyline with Maurice?
Yeah.
Remember all that stuff.
Of course you do. Anyway, we got way off track because we're talking about the bloodline, but it was a good little haha and a lot of what fun. And then the next match here, Bayley defeating Naomi and Tiffany Stratton, 13 minutes. 10 seconds, the triple threat match for the WWE Women's Championship. I love this fucking match. I will say this much. Everybody on my timeline was fucking jerking off about how great Tiffany Stratton is, and she is athletically gifted and is a superstar down the line. But I would like to reiterate here, people, if you're not watching the matchup the way that I'm watching it, I get it because I'm a fucking weirdo and whatever. But Bayley deserves a lot of credit in this matchup. She was calling the spots. She was the ring general. She was getting where she needed to be for everybody's spots, and she was telling everybody where to be and do things. And that right there is just so incredibly understated and underestimated with that kind of stuff because you're not necessarily looking for those things. I was just happening to see how she was communicating in the ring a lot and how she built that matchup and how she was basically tasked with that match and making it make sense. And we know that Tiffany Stratton is otherworldly. We know that Naomi is otherworldly in the athletic department. So the fact that she pulled out the best of both of them and herself in that matchup, I just think that Bayley deserves a lot of credit because those are things that normal people don't see or watch for when they're watching these things. And I just thought it was really, really good for Bayley because I think not only is this championship run special for her for a specific reason, but I think that now she's getting to show why she's so important to that division.
This was my favorite non-Cody match on the pay-per-view. The opener was great, but I thought this match was better. These women, the chemistry between all three of them was great. Like you said, Bayley commanding it, but then you had the two athletes just doing super athletic shit, which I'm all into. So yeah, this match blew me away. I was very pleased, especially considering at WrestleMania, we felt like Bayley and Io maybe didn't have what we thought was the best match. So it was a nice little rebound spot here.
Joe Stopper saying there were a couple of bus stops for, look, I tend to agree that, but
yeah, she's still green, honestly.
She's still learning. And I think that's hard, but like we grade harder on people we expect more out of. So I get what you're saying, Joe, but she was waiting for a bus in a couple of spots, but that 1D spot was great too. It was just, it's interesting how they work certain things in there. Moving on to something else, let's go over to this. Damian Priest, the champion, retains the World Heavyweight Championship against main event Jey Uso, 15 minutes, 45 seconds. Look, there's no denying that entrance is amazing, and the way they shot it and the way the cell phones and everything, like Jey Uso was fucking mega over like that. Like I was pissed off at Hartford for not fucking following the assignment because it was fucking amazing. But yeah, I hate that. I know well, it is what it is, but
it's just me, Oos. As I knock the microphone over, it's just me, Oos.
The only D spot Tiffany is getting is from Kaiser. Jesus Christ. I should know better. But no, I thought here's the thing. This to me was the low point of the pay-per-view for me. And I mean, I'm only saying this because I felt like the match was very pedestrian. I thought it felt like it reminded me I was watching Monday Night Raw. It didn't feel like I was watching. I mean, the crowd made it better, obviously, but I think, we've harped on this an awful lot about both of these guys. It's just, I just don't buy Damian Priest as the world heavyweight champion, as the person that's carrying the torch for Monday Night Raw. I think I really like what he does, but he's in the same category as Jey Uso. He's got a lot to offer, but I don't see him as the guy carrying the show or the girl carrying the show. Becky Lynch is there for a reason, obviously, but I just, I cared more about what was happening after the match with this whole like miscommunication Judgment Day bullshit, because I was like, okay, that's something to chew on, but I don't necessarily understand where it comes from, because on Monday they kind of like nixed it and we're like, oh, we're all fine again. So this on again, off again.
They're not rushing it. This feels like something they're going to drag out for sure.
The next, oh Jesus, Danny is just relentless with this stuff. But
I didn't feel like the match was that bad, but this was the one I definitely cared about the least, because it's one of those things that's tough, because I think right now, like, Priest has to be going up against legit people and beating legit people. And not to say Jay's not legit. Jay's awesome. But, like, I mean more of like an established veteran, former champion type. And Jay's kind of like, he like both these guys, they felt like challengers. They felt like mid-card guys trying to break through. And when you see it as a world title match, it's just kind of like, it's hard to get into. Again, I thought the match was fine, but it definitely was the low point on a pay-per-view where they're just like low points didn't exist. So understand when I'm saying that I by no means thought this was bad. This wasn't on the level of everything else that happened that night.
Joe saying it's going to be difficult for Priest until he turns babyface. And again, we were talking about that at the end of the matchup. Are we teasing the idea of Damian Priest being a babyface? I don't have high expectations anymore for Damian Priest being a babyface, because here's what I'm thinking about, right? If you watch on Monday, when Finn comes out, he kind of looks down at the title for a hot sec, and then they make up and whatever. But I was thinking about this. Finn Balor is so beloved no matter what you do. If you put him as the demon, he's fucking loved. If you put him as just Finn shaking his dick and his abs, he's loved. Like, there's nothing that Finn Balor can do. Goofy Finn Balor talking in Spanish in a promo. Hilarious. There's nothing, like, the guy can be a badass or whatever, but he's handsome. And he oozes, like, you gotta cheer for the guy. So I think if you ever have Priest versus Finn Balor, which seems to be the way we're going, it's going to be awfully difficult for Finn Balor not to be cheered. And it's going to be even harder for Damian Priest to be a babyface, at least in my estimate.
I mean, I think that Finn can do things easily to change it. It's one of those things. It's just like, we never thought we'd see in a world where The Rock could be booed, but when The Rock does his job and he can get even, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things. But my comparison, I was thinking of this when we were talking about this, because we kind of talked about it last week, but I feel like Damian Priest, it's going to be hard for us to care what anything he does till he faces Finn Balor, much like Io Sky and Bailey. That reign never felt anything special because we were just waiting for the Bailey shoe to drop. And unfortunately for Io, when the Bailey shoe dropped, it ended her reign. And I feel like this Priest Finn thing's kind of the same way, where I can't care about a Priest reign because I know it doesn't matter until he faces Finn. So I do think they need to get to it sooner rather than later, which makes me think Clash at the Castle. But then the scenario you just brought up is definitely going to happen. So
it's hard, right? Like you don't necessarily know. And I tend to agree with Danny is like, you have two other people in that faction that are better champions than Priest can be. So, I mean, if Dom was champion or, Priest, if Balor was champion, we'd all be loving that, but it's just difficult. It's just really difficult as a fan because I want to see him succeed. I really do. He has a lot of great qualities, but I just feel like, I think last week we really hit it on the head. It's just like, he's just not comfortable in front of that crowd yet. I don't think he has the ability yet to do that. But he has good matches, and I think that's important. But I think when you become champion, there's so much more to the role of champion that matches are great and they matter, but you also have to talk me into the building, especially if you're the reason that the show is starting. You know what I mean? Like if they're the first promo, you got to capture me with something. So it just is what it is.
We also just shit on the Seth Rollins championship reign for a year. So it's one of those things. It's like in perspective, it's like, it's just the way it is right now, because our biggest gripe with Seth was that he wasn't facing like legitimate competition either. So
yeah,
it seems to be a booking issue for this actually.
Yeah.
So.
All right, moving on. We have Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill defeating the Kabuki Warriors, 17 minutes, 25 seconds, winning by pinfall and capturing the women's tag team championships. Now, before you get into what you think, JC, I will say this much. On paper is exactly what I thought was going to happen. I liked it, right? There are flashes of this match that I thought were spectacular, great in clips, but as a fucking match, I don't know what the fuck happened here. This was a terrible miscommunication on many levels and different ways, forgetting who was the legal person in the tag match, as well as just people forgetting spots, people being sloppy. I'm not going to say it's specifically Jade Cargill, although she is involved in a lot of this, and she definitely...
It was also happening when she wasn't in the ring, though.
Right, it was. So
this one was 4 for 4.
So, it's all about the dance partners in this one, and I felt like we know that Bianca Belair is not the issue. You know what I mean? Like
they were all the issue though. Honestly, it doesn't it's like the chemistry wasn't there. This match was a mess, but the ending was super fucking awesome. So I don't care.
Right, and that's the hard part is like the thing that bothers me going forward is like this is the same thing, right? It seems like we're sensing a theme here. Is like we just want to see Bianca get beaten up by Jade eventually, but it's going to be.
I don't mind actually. This one I think is different because I kind of want them to have a dominant tag run because them together is kind of fucking cool.
But the thing is so that doesn't matter because they're the fucking monsters essentially. Like there's like they're not going to beat.
They're also brand new. We didn't want Judgment Day to break up the second they got together. Like these two just united, and so it's kind of cool. And we know they're probably just going to, I mean, let's be honest. These two, it might not happen to WrestleMania. It might be a year of them dominating.
Right.
Which probably is the best thing for Jade because I think it helps break her in a little bit. Because look, here's my thing. The way I looked at this is a positive spin on the slop jalop that we saw. Would you have preferred like a 3-minute squash match with no opportunity for Jade to learn on the fly and get better? Or would you rather this where she gets real-time training in a major thing? And I rather that, honestly, because with the 5-match card, there was plenty of time for it. I think women deserve more time in wrestling. We shit on it every time they don't do it. They did it here. And yeah, this one was sloppy, but look at how good that triple threat was earlier in the night. So it's just one of those things. It happens in men matches too. It's like sometimes the chemistry is just in there for a night or whatever. But yeah, this one was a big mess, but I'm glad it happened because honestly, I think Jade is going to be a lot better because of this match. And I think that's very important for her future.
Danny says they will be better once they have a joint entrance and maybe instead of coming out separately as well.
That might never happen, as we see with a lot of these tag teams.
I just, I don't know Triple H at all, obviously, but I'm always fascinated by the way he must interpret tag teams because right now we have the Awesome Truth, which isn't a traditional tag team. It's a buddy cop kind of thing. And then we have A-Town Down, which is a buddy cop thing. And then we have the women's tag titles thing where they just kind of came together. There's no like definitive, like we're tag team specialists right now, seemingly spotlight on them. I mean, the Street Profits are really the only tag team I feel like are getting any television time that are like a.
I mean, we just had DIY on TV every week and your boys, the Brits there, the Masturbate. So it's one of those things but look at like at some point tag teams have to form. And yeah, there's brother tag teams like the Usos who come up together, or FTR who just were wrestling forever. Like those don't happen, but sometimes tag teams just form. Like Theory and Waller seemed like they were just going to be a one-off, but then they're like, holy shit, these guys are awesome together. Let's keep them together. And they've been together pretty much for like 6 to 8 months. So it bothers me less. And then Awesome Truth obviously is a throwback to when they tried something else. Sometimes when you throw two guys together, it just works. And they just brought it back. And Bianca and Jade, like their presence, like we always talk about these women's tag team titles needing prestige. Well, how about two of your biggest stars, literally two of your biggest stars in the women's division, holding them probably for a long time? I think it's going to do really well for those titles. I think the issue is going to be they're not going to maybe have a lot of challengers, but I think it's an opportunity to try to make some challengers for them. So we'll see.
Well put. And then finally, we get to the pants off dance off that is JC's life. Cody Rhodes, the defending WWE champion, taking on AJ Styles and winning at 27 minutes, 20 seconds. Well, folks, if you thought AJ Styles was done, I mean, this was it was a reminder of how good AJ Styles really is, for sure. I'll say that much. I mean, everything about this match was like the crowd singing Kingdom, even with the music off, was like a special thing. The Stardust bit was great. The 450 was fucking flush. It looked fucking beautiful. The burning hammer kicking out at fucking 1. Are you out of your mind? Like they're trying to be like Kenny Omega, whatever. The top rope cutter was nicely done. It was beautiful. AJ was right there waiting for it. And it was just a great match overall. I don't know if Cody actually hurt his shoulder, but he did a great job selling it. So kudos to him for doing that. If he is banged up, the dude needs to fucking stop this like crazy shit that he does. But I have a tendency to believe that he's going to work through it anyway, because if it is real anyway, if it's not, then of course doing his A+ work selling the whole bit. But I just thought this was a great heavyweight championship matchup. It felt big. It felt real a lot, through the entire thing. It was a struggle. It wasn't necessarily always ballet, but it was some ballet in there too. It's weird to me because it's like Cody's first defense, but now it's one of those things where it's like, he's not the workhorse champion, but he is the workhorse. Like he is the guy that goes and does all the live events and stuff too. So it's weird that they're protecting him in some form, not wrestling all the time, but he's a psychopath. He does these crazy things all the time. He needs to remember he's the champion and he needs to calm down because we need a long run from him so we can keep this momentum going.
Yeah, for two guys that have never wrestled before, I thought their chemistry was just out of this world. Like this match, like this was porn. If you're a fan of wrestling, this match was fucking porn. And like you said, like I didn't forget how good AJ Styles was. WWE's been keeping him on the back burner for a while, and this is the perfect time to bring him out. Because I mean, it was always one of those things you're always skeptical about picking the first opponent for Cody, whatever. But I was just like, I watched this and I'm like, this is why Cody's our champion. And this is why AJ Styles is still one of the best, is because they can go out and have a masterpiece like that. Because like you said, that was a main event. It felt like a main event. Both guys were so insanely over with the crowd. It added so much gravitas to a match, which was fucking out of this world, super hot fire. This was so good. And I think this is what I kind of want this Cody reign to be, is to just put on these fucking amazing main events, be the fucking megastar babyface he is, and just have these like dream matches. Because he even mentioned at the presser when they asked him who he wants to face Ace, the only name he came up with LA Knight. And that one would be cool. And he's like, it's just because those are the two guys the crowd wants to see. I want to see what happens when we're both out there. And I'm like, you know what? That's pretty fucking cool. Because it's not normally how you think logically as a wrestling fan. You're like, oh, heel babyface, heel babyface, heel babyface. But I'm like, this Cody reign, I think, is going to be treated a little different just because he is such a different type of like champion than we've had in a long time. I mean, obviously we've had Roman for fucking 3 years as a mega heel, so that's kind of different, but I think this one's going to be different, and this was the perfect way to start it, to kind of set the tone to what to expect.
There's a lot of meat on SmackDown that could definitely, and I think Cody would do a great job. The one thing I've noticed about Cody is he does a great job elevating other people, which is very hard to do. And I'm not saying AJ Styles needed it at all, but a Carmelo Hayes, we know he's fucking a stud. He's going to be fine, but like bringing him to that next level is important. So I think we're going to see a lot of these open challenges. We're going to see a lot of these one-off things that we wouldn't necessarily see, because Cody Rhodes is going to be he's going to be Rocky Balboa. He's going to be like, I'll take on everybody. Tomato can's the fucking top tier. It doesn't matter for him. So I'm interested to see how this goes, because he needs a long reign and he needs to have really good matches. And I kind of wish they'd take a book out of this page and give it over to Damian Priest, because it's weird. It's weird that they're not giving Damian Priest quality caliber wrestling, in my opinion, with that.
I mean, they definitely gave him the opportunity in that match, but it's just like, I mean, Cody's the show. Like, he's the main event. He's the guy. He's the number one draw in the company. And it's not like just like how it is. Like, he's the top star. Even though Priest is an equal champion, we know that isn't true. Priest is the B champion, but that's fine. But it's just like, I think it's one of those things that they definitely want to work towards with him. But I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, when Cody's anywhere, it's just electric. But I think permanently moving Cody to SmackDown will help Priest, because much like unlike Seth's reign, where it was just like this Cody shadow over him the whole time, Priest doesn't have that, so he's gonna have to sink or swim on his own.
I am very interested to see why, things work the way they do, because I feel like with Netflix and Raw, you figured Cody would be over on there, but I guess that's not going to happen, obviously. So,
that brand split's gonna be fucking broken at that point. They're gonna do whatever the fuck they want.
Did I say a book out of this page? I meant a page out of this book. I'm sorry. I'm exhausted. So give me
say a book out of this page.
So listen, they're Nestleisms. What can I say? I just, put a foot in my mouth every single time I can.
You put a mouth in your foot?
I put a mouth in my foot. I put my mouth in your foot. You ever seen Impractical Jokers?
I have.
Okay. You put your hand down my shirt. He put his hand in my shirt. No? Okay. You don't know that one. That's fine.
I do not.
How about Church Pew Pew Pew? No?
No.
Cran Just McBasketball? No? Okay. None of it? Okay.
I've seen like 2 episodes.
I've watched every episode. I fucking love those guys. Anyway, overall, I think this was a fucking amazing pay-per-view. Seems like Backlash always over-delivers when it comes to certain things. So I always will be interested to see where this goes, if it's Italy next year or where they will end up. But I
think doing an international show after WrestleMania is the way to go, because I think Backlashers are always kind of a letdown. But I think with these crowds, it's impossible for it to be a letdown. So.
This is probably a really great place to talk about some other miscellaneous things before we get into the regular part of the show. They just announced today, right before the podcast, that Raw will be extended on USA Network until the end of 2024 before they go over to Netflix. That's probably great, because I didn't know what the hell was going to happen for those 3 to 4 months.
I just assumed that's what happened. I had no idea that wasn't a thing.
Yeah, $25 million extra dollars. So there you go.
So NBC is going to have both for quite a bit there.
Yeah, and then, of course, starting in January, we're going to Netflix, so it is what it is. But
hey, it was again. Netflix just had a great job with that Brady roast on Sunday. That was a live event, so I think they're ready to for some Raw. I've no qualms if there being issues now, because that thing went very smooth. So,
they didn't give out any statistics on how many people watched that? Did they live?
I have no idea.
Okay, I'd be curious, because I mean, we're gonna say Raw is probably 2 million people watching, so I'd just be curious.
All these fucking internet nerds that fucking look at outdated fucking information that nobody cares about, aka TV ratings, are gonna have a hell of a time comparing everything now. It's gonna be hilarious.
Yeah, I guess that's an excellent point. Very, very excellent point here. And then, of course, we hear through the grapevine / Triple H, we're looking internally and externally. We know that Vegas is now the spot for WrestleMania. That's pretty cool, as well as some other things. Maybe Saudi will be getting a bigger deal coming forward here with the Royal Rumble or WrestleMania. I don't know if that's going to be a thing, but we'll see.
They had the greatest Royal Rumble. They can have that again.
So that was my thought. It was just like they already did that.
Braun Strowman is still undefeated in that. He's never lost that title.
Longest reigning champion of all time.
Yeah. Longer than Roman Reigns. Suck it, bitch.
Disgusting green belt. Yeah, it was disgusting. But I am curious how you feel about. I mean, I know you're a gambler. Vegas, is that anything for you? Does that get you excited for WrestleMania, or it's WrestleMania?
It makes me want to go out there just so I can go to Vegas.
Yeah, well, you do like Vegas. Maybe you should go so you can be with the rest of those virgins and sit at the pool and all that stuff and.
Oh, those virgins won't be at the pool. They'd have to get clean to go in the pool.
That's true. So. Well, right now you're not very clean. You're probably fucking disgusting.
I am so fucking sweaty and gross because my body is just rebelling against me.
It's eating itself.
I was hoping the rain today would make it better, but oh my god, I think it's almost. I was already infected.
Titus is still under the ring in Saudi.
Fact, we haven't seen him since.
Oh man, that's tough. That's very, very tough. All right, let's get to the regular part of the show. 35 minutes in now. Let's stay positive here. You can go SmackDown, you can do Raw, you can do NXT.
No, we're going to Raw, and we're going to the King of the Ring matches, and we're going to Dragunov versus Ricochet, because I want to watch this match every day for the rest of my life. I just these two men are just such a joy to watch. and putting them together was fucking awesome. What a way to debut Dragunov officially on Raw. I know he had the match with Nakamura, but to put him in an absolute banger with Ricochet. Oh my goodness gracious, man. Oh my God, did I love that.
I was not surprised how good this was in any aspect of life, but the one thing that really like stuck out to me was like, I love that he's continuously a maniac. Like they didn't neuter him in any way. And I like just watching that fucking weird suplex and him like basically concussing himself and then getting back up bleeding and then doing the fucking arms and the turnbuckle and then the H-bomb.
The H-bomb. I love
like,
the H-bomb.
It's, you know what's funny? I'll say this much, and this is something I've never said to anybody, but this is a typical Nestle thing to say. There's one move that I really thought was like the stupidest fucking thing in the world, and it's a forearm. Like I think of like when people do the fucking forearms back and forth to each other, I'm always like, that's stupid. Like in MMA, it's like fucking, pounding on each other, but like the forearms in wrestling are just kind of whatever. But when I saw the H-bomb, I went, well, that's legit. Like that, even if it's not legit, the theory of him coming through,
that's
like,
great.
It looks visually like I would believe that it hurts, even though I think forearms are shit. But man, do I love that fucking H-bomb. And he can do it to everybody. And I love moves that happen to everybody. And, you can't fucking pick up the Big Show and give him a fucking power move if you're fucking, Rey Mysterio. So the H-bomb works for everything. But man, what a fucking stud moment for him. That match was great. Ricochet had a backstage segment. I don't know if you saw it on the exclusive. I mean, I don't think he's going to be a heel, but I do like people doubting themselves. I like people,
gives them more of an edge.
Yeah. I mean, he does need more of an edge. He definitely needs more of an edge here. I just don't know what his ceiling would be. I mean, he's kind of where he is. He's not.
I mean, he's just a stud. He's an absolute stud mid-carder that you can have wrestle anyone.
Yeah,
that's what
fine.
he is.
That's
and
fine.
The crowd will love it every time.
Mm-hmm. Anything else there? Or would you like to move on?
I mean, there was another banger that night in the main event. A banger after banger after banger after fucking raw crumpled hamburger meat of a chest. Sheamus and Gunther, as expected, as we've seen before, absolutely was a banger.
He did tweet out, there will be no part 4, which I was like, yeah, I can see the hamburger meat on your chest, bro. Yeah. Like I wouldn't want to do 4 of those either. So it is what it is. But they both left everything out there. The one thing that was like very odd, and it was just like, it was cut short. It was like, they clearly missed their timing and then they fucked everything up and they like, graphic and were out. So there had to have been probably 5 more minutes of that matchup, but they just lost track of time or something happened there. But I just didn't like that Sheamus tapped out, but beside the point, I mean, I'm excited for the King of the Ring in general, so I'm okay with it. And again, besides the weird ending, I thought the King of the Ring and the Queen of the Ring gets me jazzed up. I mean, I'm wearing the shirt, right here, old school. Love me some King of the Ring. So I'll be very interested to see where this goes. I think we kind of already know who's going to win this thing, but like you said,
you haven't even seen the SmackDown bracket yet, so you can't.
I don't think it fucking matters.
What if The Rock or Roman Reigns are in the SmackDown?
Actually, the SmackDown brackets have been released, I believe.
Oh, they have. When I looked earlier, they haven't been. So
I
know Carmelo was shit talking Lashley. So,
well, yeah, because it is what it is. I'm gonna keep typing this up. Anything else that you want to talk about before we get into anything else?
This is a backstage thing that I absolutely loved. When Dom was trying to get Carlito in the Judgment Day, and immediately Priest was like, it was 1 year ago, bro. You think I forgot already how you cost me against Bad Bunny? And I was like, yes, this is what I like from my characters, because you would never forget that. So I thought it was funny. And this fucking Carlito is killing me, because it's like, oh, it's Carlito just like, yo, man, no, just what he's doing. And the way he's acting, I'm like, we're going to get so many Apple moments, and I can't wait. I've been waiting for this, and him and Dom together is hilarious, and I love this whole interaction. So this has just been super fun. I think it was a great move putting these guys on Raw.
Yeah, look, I love anything Carlito, so I'm all set. By the way, going back to our previous conversation, I'm going to tell you the brackets right now for SmackDown. Just run them down real quickly for you. AJ Styles and Randy Orton, round 1.
Oh, dear God.
Corbin and Carmelo Hayes, big guy, little guy. Come on now.
They had a fucking banger match in NXT. So
yeah, and then LA Knight versus Escobar, which that's not going to be bad. And Lashley versus Tonga. So, interestingly enough, I mean, I can see Lashley getting all the way to Hayes in the final 4, and I can see Gunther getting all the way to Dragunov. And
yeah,
then
I feel like the Raw side is definitely Gunther Dragunov. That's a great way to have them run it back, is in that way.
And I think, I really, really, really was hoping that it's not Carmelo versus Gunther in the finals. I'd rather see Lashley versus Gunther, because I feel like there's somebody that I know that Lashley wouldn't win, but and it's nothing against Carmelo because he's my boy. But I feel like when you look at it, like Gunther's going to win no matter what. I want to at least have a doubt in my mind that someone on the side of that bracket is going to beat him. Maybe AJ Styles, not going to happen. Randy Orton, he ain't going to take
I
hamburger
feel like
meat.
it could be LA Knight.
There's literally nobody on the side of SmackDown.
Well, because here, let me put it this way for you.
Except
because I thought that too, but I'm pretty sure the winner of this gets a world title shot. Do you think they want to have Gunther get one so soon? I could see him maybe getting cost at some point, and this could be a way to set up LA Knight versus Cody at wherever this is going to be, whether it's Money in the Bank or Clash at the Castle. Like, because do you really want Priest defending against Gunther at Clash of the Castle and having Gunther not win? Yeah, exactly. No. So it's one of those. Because I always thought that Gunther's the obvious choice the whole time too. But what if Nestlemania? What if Dragunov beats him again?
That'd be fucking great. Like, what a way to put him over, But the problem that bothers me is it would mean more if it was the finals. If it's the semifinals, I feel like it kind of takes a little bit away.
I don't disagree. So I'm curious to see how, but either way, I'm interested because I think that this isn't going to be as obvious as we think. Who knows? Maybe it will be, but that's the thing that's been in the back of my mind. I'm like, does Gunther just say he's going to save it to like SummerSlam or something? But it's just like, also, I don't know. So I think we might have some chicanery in store.
I'm trying to see if the women's brackets are out because I feel like they have only given the women. The women's is, I think we have. Well, I guess we can talk about it. But there's bad stuff and good stuff. We'll talk about it when we get to it. But they haven't. I don't think they've unleashed the women's SmackDown. I haven't been. I mean, I looked for 2 seconds here while you were talking, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah, I was gonna say when I looked earlier, they had nothing, so I wouldn't be surprised.
But again, something that's interesting to me is to see where the Queen thing happens, because I think, to me, I look at it this way. At least for me, I'm a big character guy. I love when people take the king or the queen mentality and the moniker and they make it their own into something character change. I need that from both winners this year, because as much as I love Xavier Woods and think he's underappreciated and undervalued, I feel like they kind of fucked him over with the bloodline on that, or they kind of
they were fucked because there was no way for him to go with Roman there.
Right. So I feel like whoever wins these really needs to have something here. Like King Gunther just makes a lot of sense, right?
I can see it.
It just is what it is. So, all right, is anything else positive you'd like to talk about?
Liv's promo, super hot fire. # my champion. # the moment of her leaving Becky to get beat up by Damage Control. Chef kiss.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love this match is happening in Saudi. I'm pretty sure Becky's gonna win somehow. But I just Liv's on fire right now, man. And this character is working for me. I'm loving it. And there was so much development, like that moment when she decided to just walk out and let it happen. And you had what's her name run out being like, "What the hell, Liv?" And she just being like, "Yeah, I'm Liv. Fuck you."
Mm-hmm.
I just loved it because it was perfect, because that's what we've been slowly building for with Liv. And it just like we're starting to see the fruits of it now, and I'm loving it.
I mean, we saw that on Instagram too. There, she has the Dom handkerchief in her photo. I thought that was pretty interesting if you're looking very closely, as well as the fact that I will say this much: this isn't necessarily it's heat, but because Liv's in it, it's still shine. But I will say, when they started this Michael Cole thing with Becky Lynch talking, I was like, this feels so inauthentic.
Oh, there's a reason I completely ignored that shit.
No, but I was just like, I don't even want to bring it up later. I'll just say it here. I just thought that it didn't do anybody any services until Liv came out and saved the fucking thing. And I thought this was Liv's best promo ever. I'd
have to think about ever, because she had some good ones leading up to her reign and stuff.
But I like where they're going with her. She had, and I think the reason I can say this will stand out for me is because she said the words in the promo, "I now have a purpose." And I feel like, to me, that turned such a huge corner for her, because the one thing I was looking for as a fan of hers was, she's great, but there's not really anything else to her. Now I can sink my teeth into, as a viewer, going, well, now she's got a revenge tour. She hates Rhea Ripley. She's going to take Dom. She's going to take the fucking title. And then Rhea Ripley comes back after she maybe wins and has some tomato cans or whatever. I think that's really, really great. And I think that's what I'm excited about. But yeah, I agree with everybody here in the chat. You know, Cole is worse at interviewing than he is commentating, as somebody says here, as the Joe Stopper. But yeah, it's interesting for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Sorry to leave you weird, like in a weird
No,
spot.
I'm just out of shine, and
Okay.
so we can go to the heat.
Okay, let's get him off my TV, get him off my TV, get him off my TV. Real quick, we'll go to SmackDown because it's SmackDown and we didn't really talk about it, but it is what it is. 8-woman tag is what it is. Fucking, you know how I feel about that shit. It is what it is. Let's see. Mello and Bobby disrespect me. I can kind of get behind that. New Catch Republic, Josh's favorite team versus my favorite team. Yeah, what was it? The Authors of Pain. That was the fucking JC Nestlemania special there. It is what it is. Bad guys win. And you know, it's funny. The crowd makes everything better, but nobody gave a shit about the Authors of Pain. Sorry, Guthrie. They just don't. If the international crowd doesn't care, then that tells you everything you need to know about that.
I mean, look, in an arena that big, there were plenty of things that got that type of reaction on that show, but you're just choosing to remember the final testament. So
fair enough. Fair enough. I'll leave it there. Bless you.
To mute that time. My bad.
That's okay. That's okay. LA Knight beat Angel. Who gives a shit? And they all had whatever. A-Town down 1, but I just thought like it is what it is. I didn't really care about that as well. And then, you know, we can talk about the bloodline all we want, but it is what it is. Moving on to Raw. Let's see. Holy good goddamn. What do we got to start
Well,
here?
I will say my only heat that I had from SmackDown really was that not having Baron Corbin in France after what we saw last year was a huge missed opportunity. They fucked that up big time.
I tend to agree with you on that.
Especially with all the random shit we had on that show. Like,
right.
It's an easy way to debut someone you just drafted up from NXT. In the fucking the hottest reaction he ever got from a crowd, where he said it was one of the best moments of his career. So missed opportunity.
I will ask this though: if you go to Monday Night Raw, they have that Braun Breaker promo where he says to Pierce, like, "Hey, what the fuck? You didn't put me in the King of the Ring." Which I was like, "Hey, yeah, why not? Like, he's fucking Braun Breaker, right?" But then all of a sudden, if you watch the camera, because they're in fucking Hartford, right, and you see the Wolf up, and I'm like, are they gonna make a trade for the Wolf Dogs? Like, because that's where my brain went. We're like, he hasn't done anything yet. He hasn't shown up yet. And they were like, let's go talk in our office. And it was like,
I think it's more likely that Braun gets traded back to SmackDown because he's upset, and then they reunite the Wolf Dogs.
I mean, if the Wolf Dogs are a tag team, let's do it.
They were so good, man.
I think I mean, here's the thing. Baron Corbin deserves some spotlight, and Braun Breaker needs some more time. So I feel like a tag team would be fine. I think that's fine. Braun Breaker is going to have a fucking giant career ahead of him. Like, you don't need to fucking like the match right now. Like, give him some time to get better so that big kaboom is even bigger. But it was very weird on that aspect of it. I tend to agree with you. Let's see. We have Jey Uso and Finn again. Decent match, but Jey wins, and it is what it is. It's just I don't know. I'm not really in love with Jey Uso in terms of the match quality, but it is what it is. Natty and Io had a fucking incredible match, but I felt like they didn't get like they got time, but I just feel like there's something about Natty. Natty needs to be a heel because I feel like Natty as a baby face just doesn't do anything. Again, she has no character, no drive, no nothing. And she's just really good wrestler. And I feel like putting her back as a heel would be really beneficial to her because at least she can do something with it. Go back to NXT.
She absolutely should be a heel. I will say her work in NXT has been good, but I also might be saying that because Lola Vice and Carmen Petrovic are in those segments. But I don't know if you saw Nestlemania. That should have been the lead of the show. But the main event from last week, the NXT Underground, where Lola KO'd Natalya, had me shaking my hips.
Do you want me to get up and do my Lola dance again?
Please don't. For the sake of everyone, do not do that.
All right. Come on. That was great. I have great rhythm.
Gyrations.
Yeah, it is. Nobody needs that. Not even
down there as well.
Nobody needs that, including my wife. So I'm gonna save one thing off into purgatory once we're done with all this entire thing. It is what it is, but Zoe wins the fucking match, has a couple of misses. It is what it is. But I was just like, this match is just, I'm sorry, Guthrie. It's just, this woman literally she had the jobber entrance and she still won. And I'm just like, man, nobody gives a fuck about this poor woman. But she'll
be putting over Lyra in round 2.
It's just,
dun, dun, dun. Woo! Dun, dun, dun. Woo!
it's rough. It's really, really rough. And then I thought this was odd too, is like the Reed and Gable match got thrown out because Sammy gets involved in a melee and then they have a triple threat, whatever. It's like, I feel like, and I understand this because I get it. People are exhausted, but I feel like they spend so much time in the big ticket items that like you can see it while you're watching. It's just like, yeah, they won't care. It's the bottom of the hour. Whatever. They'll be fine. People will buy it. They love Sami Zayn or whatever. It's just like, I don't know. Something bothers me in terms of like, I would rather consistency across the board. Not that everything has to be great, but I feel like the people involved, Reed, Gable, and Sammy, are going to have great matches, but they're not going to lead me there. You know what I mean? It's the opposite of everything else.
Yeah, this didn't do much for me either. It just kind of was like, get me to the match.
We already talked about Becky and Cole being fucking atrocious. I think that's pretty much it. Unless you have something else you want to talk about.
No, let's get to the hope. Glorious, you're my only hope. I'm going to stick with Women's Queen of the Reign. Nestlemania, you said brackets weren't released, which is good because there's a good chance the woman I want to win isn't going to be in it on SmackDown. Keep it short and sweet, Nestlemania. You know who would make a great, I can't even fucking talk. A great Queen of the Reign? It's Chelsea. Boom, done. Hashtag JC knows. Hashtag JC's hopes come true. Just imagine all the shit she could do with that. It just, I don't even need to explain it. It's obvious. It's fantastic. You're going to do your I'm going to go blow my nose.
There you go. Okay. Now I got to fucking, I got to stall because last time he went and decided to fucking leave me for 5 minutes. So I apologize to anybody listening and or watching that has to sit, and listen to me and look at me for 5 minutes without JC's beautiful face. So my hope is going to be very similar to the Queen of the Ring here. And the one thing I was really thinking about was they haven't released the SmackDown brackets. I would love to see as a specialty, as something that I didn't think was going to happen here. What if they don't announce the Queen of the Ring brackets till the very last second and Charlotte Flair is the queen and fucking takes the entire thing and we get Queen Charlotte as the whole thing? I think she's already been the queen, but I think enhancing it with the crown and the whole thing just adds a little bit to Charlotte Flair. She's coming back like 6 months probably ahead of schedule, but damn, I love that. Like, I think the idea of like pulling into the Queen of the Ring and making it, I'm not saying that Zelina Vega didn't do a great job. She certainly did, but Charlotte Flair as the queen already, it seems like a layup. We haven't done it, but what does that look like? I'm curious to see if she could do it. And I think it would add a little bit to Charlotte Flair. She already says bow down to the queen anyway. So let's do it. I think that'd be a good one. So that's my hope. Charlotte Flair, you're going to be the queen officially. There you go.
You just hope for a shoveling. 2, I sadly don't think her injury will line up this time, so I'll have to save for the future. But also, don't you dare disparage Queen Zelina. She is the greatest Queen of the Ring of all time.
She's the only one.
It doesn't matter. She was by far the greatest one, and it's not even close. So suck on that, bitch. Don't call it a comeback. I'm going to Joe's favorite show, AEW, because Nestlemania, finally, they made a good decision. The first challenger for Swerve Strickland being Christian Cage, chef's kiss. This is the perfect guy for Swerve's first feud. This is exactly what he needs as a new babyface champion. Have the guy who gets more heat than anyone. There's a little layer of a feud from back there. They referenced it in the promo, but when they were starting to do the intro of the Bucks being like the Canadians, I'm like, oh my God, it's going to be Christian. And then it was. I was so happy because this is going to be so fun. And we have Nana and Mama going head to head. It's a fucking family affair, baby. This is perfect. Christian deserves this. Swerve deserves this. This is going to be so good. But Christian Cage is officially getting my comeback.
My comeback is going to give the feel good moment, which last week Wesley is getting my comeback spoiler, but watching what he did this week, had a great match with Briggs. But what I really loved was just the background of him coming from the back with the locker room, having them all rev up and get excited for him because there was a chance he would never wrestle again. The guy came back even before scheduled time, looked like $1 million, always been an underdog, as we've talked about extensively on this program about NXT and especially Wesley and how amazing he is in the ring. But he has that likability, that Daniel Bryan-esque, like you want to see him overcome. And Obafemi is a fucking unit, as we talk about.
That match is going to be fucking porn. The biggest, strongest guy and the flippy, dippiest, smallest guy. That's the key to JC's heart, man. It's just like when Rick O'Rourke, LeBron, and Ricochet get involved. It's just like biggest versus littlest, like, tale as old as time. But unit versus Flippy Dippy, give it to me. Give me what I want.
I think that's the next NXT show takeover. Hopefully, like a big deal. I don't know. It's the one
Well,
in
the next one's the one in Vegas, right? Because they're doing the big deal about the ladder match, and I don't know, but you know what I realized, because I was about to complain how Lola and Carmen were involved in this, but they're gonna have like a fucking cage match because it's fucking they're the two with the background. And by the way, did you see Carmen's new entrance last night in NXT with the sword? What a presentation! What a presentation! Let's just hope they don't Xia Li it and only do it once. But that thing was fucking sick.
It was. And so there's so much that's going on in NXT. I mean, this is additional. We talked about this. This is an additional fucking hope or whatever. But like watching Chelsea and just watching her wrestle Roxanne. Roxanne's heel character is wonderful. I think she's
been so good.
She's hitting a stride there. But watching Ariana, is it Ariana? Ariana Grace?
Ariana Grace.
Yeah, that Santino's daughter. Her backstage segment with Chelsea, I was just like, this is a tag team, and this is a tag team. This is a tag team that is going to dominate. They could lose, it doesn't matter. Like, they have somehow both of them found characters similar enough, but different in different ways. But they could lose every week slipping on a banana peel, and it would still be fucking hilarious and fun and exciting, and it would just work. If Vince McMahon, we're not supposed to say his name, obviously, but if that old regime saw these two, they would be off to the races.
I mean, Ariana Grace commands the television better than most people you see, period.
Right.
Never mind someone as fucking new as she is. Like, there's other parts of her game that there's a reason why she's going to probably be in NXT much longer, but character-wise, there ain't too many doing anything much better work than she has been doing with her little prom queen gimmick or whatever. Or no, a pageant
yes.
gimmick. Yeah.
But I find her just so interesting and so much
What
fun.
Is she called? Gigi?
Oh,
it's like a G name. It's so fucking funny. I die every time. It's like it's not like Gwinnett or Gertrude. It's something like like that. And every time she says it, I fucking die.
I mean, they're probably going to be okay. Like someone said, Chelsea, Gigi, and Ariana as a fucking faction would be better than Toxic Attraction, and I was like, well, JC
not
might have
true.
To say about
Gigi's
that.
Gigi's already sick of it too, so it's not happening. No, because nobody's Mandy Rose. Knock it off. But Chelsea would do a damn good job. But we got to get to my first hope first, where she's Queen Chelsea.
Okay. All right. Chelsea. That's fine. It's Chelsea.
Queen Chelsea Green. We don't get that anymore, sadly. But
all right, it's too bad.
Alicia Taylor got the call up, though.
Very cool.
Designated right Mike Rome for assignment back to NXT, poor guy.
That guy has shellac for hair. But man, Alicia does a great job too. Both of them do a great job. All three of the ring announcers
do a great job. Sam's the superstar, but the other two are very good as well.
Yeah, Sam is otherworldly in terms of her range, which she does.
I might say that she's the greatest ring announcer of all time.
See,
I love the Fink.
The Fink's up there though. The Fink is up there.
I love the Fink, but Sam is just like it's just different. It's just different.
I think when it's all said
differently.
When it's all said and done, it's like I have a soft spot for Chimmel. Not that he's anywhere close to the Fink or Sam, but Chimmel's good up there. The Fink was forever. And then you're like, Lillian Garcia deserves an honorable mention. She did a lot of great work too. So
come on, this is not even the same class.
No, I know, but I mean, it's Lillian. Come on, but
it's fine.
It is what it is. And there are others along the way. I'm sure I'm forgetting, but
yeah, you forgot them exactly. So
you forget them exactly.
I win.
All right, get over to the big old finish. Then let's do it.
Yeah, so SmackDown, like we said, we have men's brackets, but not women's brackets. But I'm curious to see. Raw was only able to fit 3 of each on the show, and I guess they're doing the other 2 on Sunday at live events. So I'm curious if SmackDown's going to be able to do that many, or if they're only literally going to do half. So that'll be interesting. But on Raw, we do know the matchups for next week, at least 2 of them. We know it'll be Lyra and Zoe, Dragunov and Jey Uso, and then Io will take on the winner of Shayna and Zelina, and Gunther will take on the winner of Rey Mysterio and Kofi Kingston.
I mean, I would imagine that I would hope Kofi wins, because it'd be really cool to see him kind of avenge the whole Woods thing. But I don't even know. And I should have looked at the bracket if Kofi could face Gunther. I don't think that's.
I think if Kofi wins, that's who he faces. He faces Gunther. So
I mean,
I think Kofi's going to beat Mysterio somehow. I'm assuming Carlito will cost Mysterio.
I mean, I have no idea. Hold on, I'm going to look at the bracket right now.
It is. No, I literally just read it to you.
Okay,
Gunther
fine.
faces the winner of Kofi versus Mysterio.
All right, don't listen. No need to get hot. No need.
God, I did my goddamn homework. You want me to give you these hands? These infected hands, Nestlemania?
Listen,
I got fucking pollen coursing through my goddamn veins.
Yeah, well, at least it's not speed or coke. All right.
I wish it was. I'd feel probably a hell of a lot better than I do now.
Imagine
I'm already
you on
fucking
speed.
sweating like I'm on coke anyways. I feel like Tony Khan without any of the rush. It's all the negative parts. I'm having the come down happen instead of the come up the entire time.
Yikes.
Oh, I can't tell you how fucking disgusting I felt for like 2 days. Ugh.
All right.
No one should ever have to be sick. It's terrible.
All right.
Ban sickness.
Is there anything? I mean, I'm excited.
Yeah, NXT. I'm curious your take on the women's combine.
So here's the thing. I don't see it's irrelevant. Like, here's the thing. Like, this is the part. This is where someone's going to probably disagree with me. And I don't give a shit, but this is how I feel. I don't give a fuck how far you throw a fucking medicine ball. I don't care how fast your 40 is. When you get into the ring, none of those qualities matter to me. None of them.
You know when else they don't matter? On a fucking football field.
Yes, exactly.
But it's just like it's to find out who the best athlete is, which why it makes sense. Sol Ruka graded the best, but yeah, no, I was hoping for more from this. Instead, it was like we kind of got like segments that they taped from the weekend. But it set up the matches for next week, I guess. It was something unique to try, but I feel like if you're going to do something like this, you do it around the combine to take advantage of it.
Exactly.
But it's funny that was your rant because that's literally my rant of the NFL draft every year. It's like, look, I love a good athlete. I'm a big fan. If I see a super athletic guy, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess potentially be something, but doesn't mean he's a football player. So those guys get overdrafted all the time. And so it's the same thing here. It's like Sol Ruka is the number 1 seed. She's taking on Izzy Dame next week. I think this number 1 seed is going to come through, though. She ain't going to be a bust. She'll beat Izzy Dame. She'll go to the ladder match. Your girl, Lash Legend, takes on Ivy Nile. And then we have, I think those are the only 2 they announced for next week. So I don't think we know the other matchups.
But I think that you could see one that faces 12 and so on and so on.
That's what it seemed like they were doing, but I did not memorize the numbers. So
that's fine. I when I see the combine stuff, I'm just like, that's great for, seeing your personal records and stuff and getting motivated. I think that's wonderful, but it has no business, in my opinion, being in the WWE. I like again, you step through those ropes. None of that fucking matters when you're trying to put your moves together. Like, who gives a shit? Like,
it's literally the same thing as a football field. This is literally the same discussion, but they still do it. And that's why it's hilarious.
It's irrelevant.
You'd be a terrible draft expert. Everyone would hate you
because
everyone else would be doing their mocks and you'd be like, yeah, this guy just because he runs fast, he ain't going to be good. Bah, 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 bah.
It's true. It's absolutely true. You can have all the athleticism in the world, but then you have to put a microphone in their hand. Where are they fucking grading that? They're not. You know what I mean? Can you have a connection with the audience?
It's the physical part of the competition.
Sure.
This isn't a to be a star campaign, Nestlemania. It's to trying to get the best athletes in the ladder match.
I'm just asking, did they climb up a fucking ladder in these at all? Did they climb a fucking rope?
They did like a high jump or some shit, probably.
Who gives a shit? No one's doing a high jump in the fucking match.
Have you ever never watched wrestling? People jump over people all the time, Adam. That might be the one relevant one.
Listen, are they jumping on a ladder? Probably, but they
did shuttle speed, like off the ropes.
Oh,
that one made sense.
I just think the whole thing is it. Did they? I didn't even look. Did they have like draft analysis people like Booker T or something being like, "Oh man,"
it was just like a pre-prepared package being like, "This person did this," and
fuck that.
Yeah, no, it wasn't what it could have been, but whatever. There was kind of a rush job. Also, next week we have Tony D taking on one of the dudes with the cup, but it appears it's going to be Little Regal because the other 2 got kidnapped and might get murdered. So that whole faction might be dead, not just Drew Gulak.
I don't give a shit about that Heritage Cup. I'm sorry. I don't give a shit about that quarter catch versus new catch. Fucking those guys.
Don't get me started on the goddamn catch teams.
They can't catch a fucking break with us because we don't give a flying fuck about them. I'm sorry. And then, I'm sure Danny's going to hop in the chat and call me a fucking shamer. But here's the truth. They snore. They put me to fucking bed. Every time I see them.
Here's the thing. The Heritage Cup was cool and Noam Dar had it because Noam Dar is awesome. Metaphor is awesome. But as we see, he's the first challenger for Trick Williams. And we're talking about athletes, Nestlemania. It's not bizarre. Noam Dar, again, it's someone else who's like a perfect opponent. It's an annoying heel who's really fucking good in the ring, who's going to make Trick look amazing. It's perfect because it's just like he's annoying, whatever. They can tease the little lash stuff to make Trick even more of a baby face. You got fucking Sexy Red tweeting about it on Twitter. Shake that ass for Drake. Shake that ass for me. Come on, man. And then freaking Shawn Michaels inviting to mediate Kendrick Lamar and Jake. Fucking old man, white boy in the cowboy hat's going to settle that beef? I don't think so, but it's hilarious. But the other match is Noam Dar versus Javon Evans, if you want to talk about athletes.
I mean, that's an athlete too. But again, It comes down to connection to the crowd, right? That's you.
I mean, he cuts a promo like Riddle. I kind of dig it. Did you see his promo this week?
I did not.
He's like super athletic, even more athletic Matt Riddle, like sprinty Matt Riddle.
But is he
just
a pro?
He has like but he just has like the dumb aura to him, but like the cool dumb, where it's just like, oh, that guy's hilarious. He's great.
He's Gronk. Whatever.
He's not spiking shot glasses on stage.
What a fucking idiot. What a fucking idiot.
I don't know if you watched the whole thing, but I haven't laughed like that in a very long time. The belly laughs I got from some of that stuff. A, I can't believe they did it. B, all those guys, but it's just like that. That was so masterfully done. And like Gronk, dude, he killed it. He is such a moron, but by God, was he good.
I just love that.
All he had to do was be himself.
I just love that he wrote. I wrote that one actually. I'm like,
I know.
Shut up. They
you could tell
that
he wrote a lot of his own jokes because they were all like dick jokes. And it was funny because Kevin Hart made the joke earlier night. Like, what's up with fucking white dudes? All they do is make gay and dick jokes. And then Brady, Edelman, and Gronk, all their material was gay dick jokes. Like, oh, well, there you go. Yeah. Quite proven.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about or get the fuck out of here?
Get the fuck out of here because I'm going to pass out.
All right. On that note, thank you for listening and watching the Jobber Knocker podcast. We'll be back next week with some more Jobber Knockery.